Hey, what's up guys, it's Bronko here. Grim Forest might be the best thing Plarium has added in years, and at the same time one of the most dangerous game modes they've ever designed. On one side you've got absolutely cracked new gear and relics to chase, full access to your strongest champions, and some really cool new bosses to fight. On the other side you've got random champion selection, newer players getting punished hard, and the very real possibility that the most broken champs you pull might end up on the enemy team against you. So in this video, I want to walk you through the good and the bad of Grim Forest, and by the end you should know exactly how seriously you want to treat this mode. Is this going to be your main grind, or is it something you just dip into for a few key rewards and then bounce out? Alright, here's the plan for today. First we talk about the big positives, the new overpowered gear and relics you can get, the fact that Grim Forest finally lets us use our best champions instead of locking us into weird role and affinity restrictions, the way the community will slowly map out every stage so we can prepare in advance, and of course the new bosses as a fresh challenge. Then we'll flip it around and talk about the problems, why new and mid-game players are going to feel this mode much harder, how the random champion selection can absolutely brick your run, and why your own most OP legendaries might show up on the enemy side. And at the end I'll give you my honest verdict on how I think you should approach Grim Forest depending on where your account is right now. So let's start with the good stuff, because there actually is a lot to like here. First big win, rewards. Grim Forest brings in new gear and relics that are not just a bit stronger, they're straight up account defining. We're talking about sets and relics that change what your champions are capable of, not just add a couple of % here and there. If you're an endgame player, these are the kind of upgrades that can push you into completely new damage thresholds, new speed tiers, and let you build teams that just weren't possible before. For people who enjoy min-maxing and squeezing out every last bit of power, this mode is basically a candy shop. Second big positive, Grim Forest actually lets us use our best champions. That alone already puts it above a lot of other content. You're not being told only this faction or only that affinity, or sorry, you can't bring your favorite nuker because they don't fit the rules. If you've invested in building a strong roster, Grim Forest respects that. You can take your strongest champs in, you can build your dream teams, and you actually get rewarded for having spent years gearing and booking these monsters. That feels good. For a lot of players, this is the first mode in a while where you look at your box and go, all of this work might finally matter. The third positive is the way knowledge will build up over time. Right now, Plarium is not handing us a full schedule of rotations, they're not revealing every stage in advance. But the community is absolutely going to figure this out. You already know how this goes as soon as the mode launches. People will start clearing stages, posting screenshots, sharing comps, and within a few rotations we're going to have maps, spreadsheets, and full breakdowns of what shows up where. That means even though we don't have an official "here's the rotation chart," over time we'll be able to plan ahead anyway. You'll be able to open a community resource and say, okay, stage X has this boss and these waves, stage Y has that annoying mechanic, and this rotation is the one where I really want my best nukers or my strongest sustain. It turns Grim Forest into a long-term puzzle. Each time the rotation comes back, you'll be a little more prepared, a little more optimized, and your teams will get cleaner and cleaner. And then there are the bosses themselves. Whatever else we say about Grim Forest, the bosses are cool. Visually they look great, mechanically they're different from the old dungeon crew, and they force you to think a bit differently about how you build teams. After fighting the same dragon, spider and demon lord for the 1000th time, it's just fun to have something new to punch. For players who enjoy learning new patterns and solving new fights, this is a big plus. So if we stop the video here, Grim Forest sounds amazing. New OP rewards, full use of your strongest champions, a mode that the community can slowly solve and optimize, and cool bosses to keep things fresh. But now we need to talk about the other side. The first big problem is roster depth. Grim Forest is clearly designed with big accounts in mind. If you've got a deep roster with tons of legendaries built, strong epics, and a bench of geared rares, you'll be able to adapt to whatever the mode throws at you. But if you're newer or even comfortably mid-game but still only have a handful of fully built champs, this mode is going to feel a lot less like a fun puzzle and a lot more like running into a wall. You can't brute force that. If the mode expects you to have options and you don't, it's not that you're bad at the game, it's that your account literally isn't ready yet. That's frustrating because the rewards are so good that you'll want to do it, but the reality is you might not be able to do much beyond the early stages until your roster grows. The second big problem is random champion selection. One of the core mechanics in Grim Forest is that it can pull random champions from your account to use. That might affect who you're allowed to bring, and it can also mean your own units show up as enemies. And randomness like that always hits smaller accounts much harder than big ones. If you're late game with 50 or 60 build champs, random selection is annoying but manageable. If the game locks out a few options, you still have backups. But if you're sitting on 10 build champs total and Grim Forest decides to bench 2 of them or use them on the enemy side, your entire run can fall apart before it even starts. You might literally not be able to build a functioning team. So where does that leave us? Grim Forest is this weird mix of top tier endgame content and absolutely unforgiving if you're not ready. The rewards are insane, the bosses are cool, and over time the community will absolutely figure out the best strategies and stage layouts. But the combination of random champion selection and the reliance on roster depth means that the gap between what a whale can do in this mode and what a newer player can do is going to be massive. Here's how I think you should approach it. If you're clearly late game with a big roster, Grim Forest is made for you. You should absolutely be diving in, testing teams and pushing as far as you can every rotation. This is your chance to separate yourself even further, because those new sets and relics will scale incredibly well on accounts that can actually use them. Treat this mode as your new high-end playground. If you're mid-game, think of Grim Forest as a side project, not your main progression path. Go in, see how far you can get without destroying your resources, and aim to grab a few meaningful upgrades each time the rotation cycles. Don't worry about clearing everything immediately. Focus on what's realistic for your account and let the community knowledge build up, so next time around you'll be better prepared. If you're a newer player, I'd honestly treat Grim Forest more like a preview. Step in, try the early stages, get a feel for it, but don't let it distract you from the core progression, campaign, basic dungeons, clan boss, and building a solid core roster. Grim Forest will still be there in a few months when your account is actually ready to benefit from it. Right now, it might just drain your energy and frustrate you. The most important thing is this: don't let FOMO control how you play. Yes, the rewards are crazy. Yes, some of these sets and relics are going to be best in slot. But you don't have to get everything the first time the mode appears. Let the community discover the best strategies. Let people test what actually works. Use that knowledge to target the rotations and stages that matter for you, instead of trying to brute force the entire mode on day one. So that's the good and the bad of Grim Forest as I see it. On the good side, we've got truly powerful new gear and relics, a mode that finally lets us use our best champions without locking us into arbitrary restrictions, a community that will eventually map out every stage so we can prepare properly, and a set of new bosses that actually feel fresh. On the bad side, we've got random champion selection, harsh punishment for shallow rosters, and the very real chance that your own strongest champions show up as your opponents. Let me know down in the comments where you fall on this. Are you excited to dive in and break this mode wide open, or are you already worried about how the randomness is going to treat newer players? Are you planning to go hard from day one, or are you going to wait for the community to solve it a bit first? I'm Bronko, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.